It says I'm live, but you know me. I'm never happy with that. It's not live yet, so I'm glad that I checked.
Oh, wow.
Let me double check here. Okay, it is. Well, welcome everyone to the Survivor Maryland Major Conflict Episode 6 live show. We've got some incredible guests this week. Truly our own different kind of jam. I guess it would be the Jess. We have, of course, me, Anders, your lovely host of Survivor Maryland Major Conflict, back again. I have a haircut because the quarantine doesn't apply to me, I guess. We also have returning Erin. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. Never better. Always happy to see you, Anders.
Erin, it is a tribe swap this week, and I would like to say that I'm being bamboozled. That's a Survivor Michigan joke. So if you haven't watched that season, watch it. We also have a very wonderful guest. So happy to have you, Shelley.
Hello.
Shelley is also Erin's mother. Followed me on Twitter, and I said, "You're coming on the podcast for sure."
That's all it takes, folks. That's all it takes.
Really, if any of Erin's other relatives want to follow me on Twitter, I'll bring you on as well. And of course, we have our robbed goddess, our queen, the head, the first letter of Jam, Jasmine, joining us after just such a disappointing boot episode. Jasmine, how are you?
I'm good. It was a little painful to watch that episode, but I'm relieved it's finally over, aired, and I can just move on. Kind of close.
Move on. Yeah. The nightmares are over.
Yeah, I guess maybe you could say that.
So Jasmine, it's been 4 years since this happened. What's been going on in your life since then? Where are you now? Who are you now?
Well, what a meta question, Anders. I don't think I can answer all that, but I graduated from Maryland 2018, and then I moved out to Seattle. So I'm repping West Coast with you over here. And I've been teaching first grade, so not quite business anymore. I did a 180 and joined Teach for America. So so much for the whole business theme, but it's been quite the journey. And yeah, we're teaching on.
I love that.
So just wild.
And you're teaching young women how to make their own girls' alliances.
Exactly. That's what I like to think.
Oh, we have a lovely Jam member, Seattle Queen, teaching queen, 180 queen. I mean, you couldn't ask for someone better.
Love you, Morgan.
So, Jasmine, I want to talk a little bit about the episode with you. So, you got to watch what happened and how it came to be that you were voted out. Let's go a little bit back before the actual tribal, and let's go to the tribe swap. You get swapped from Chikasha to Piscala. You're there with Jam and Santi. When you're first swapped, were you really happy? Were you excited? Did you think, this is a good tribe for me?
I was happy for sure, because having Angie and Morgan, I thought that I was on more stable footing because those were two guaranteed votes for me at the time. I remember that being my mindset. Yeah.
What about Santi? So obviously Santi isn't in Jam, but he's close to Angie. You're in an alliance with him.
Yeah, I think Santi, we were in that Southside alliance with me, Liam, Mike, and Santi. I don't think I ever felt completely in that alliance. I felt like I was always on the bottom of the three guys. I kind of felt like it was the three guys, and then Liam, I was just dragged in by Liam by association of being close to him. So while Santi was like okay for me, I didn't feel like necessarily I was going to be so tightly allied with him that I needed to have him. You know, I was, like kind of ambivalent or like flexible with my vote.
Right.
Yeah.
So this week, you guys lose the challenge. You head to tribal. We hear that you do throw out a couple names. You start off with Dane throwing out Amanda's name in the car, and then you going to Dane saying vote out Amanda. You going to Amanda saying vote out Dane. And then also maybe Santi, who knows? Why were there so many names being thrown out? Why did you guys talk to every single person about voting for someone else?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was definitely my ultimate downfall. And when people say I overplayed, they're 100% correct. I just went paranoid and talked to everybody, which we also discussed after the season, Anders. But I think I think you all saw that conversation I had with Liam where he was strategizing super hard, and we kind of had these exciting moments where we were like, oh, but what if I did this, this, and this, and then we could blindside Santi. And I just think that might have encouraged me in the wrong direction of, I don't remember who said it this episode, but someone was like, Santi was like, oh, she's pulling an Ivy and talking to everyone. And that really was what I was doing without fully realizing it at the time. And I think if I had just stayed with Tim and like not even talked to Dane, because for me, I don't know anyone on the other side, so it doesn't matter to me who goes. But just as long as it's not me, Angie, or Morgan, I think I would have been happy, you know? So Tim actually liked me from that conversation, watching that back. I didn't know that when I had that conversation, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can trust him. And I think that's why I also contributed to me then turning to other people. But obviously in hindsight, it's not good to talk to so many different sides like that. And it definitely came back to bite me at the end there.
You heard it here first, folks. The Women's Alliance failed because a man told them what to do. I mean, I would agree with you. I think that the Dane conversation ultimately, when I first was watching and editing it, I was wondering, why are we talking to Dane? Because it doesn't feel like that's who you're going to be that's who you're going to be targeting. What is it that you're hoping to gain from this conversation?
I honestly think I'm struggling to recall I think watching back in hindsight, you're like, that was so dumb. Why did I do that? Hindsight's 2020. But I think I didn't feel, partly it was because I felt Morgan was for sure on the chopping block. Her name had been thrown out a lot. And then talking to Tim, I didn't have a confident grasp that Tim would for sure work with us, or that I think I didn't know that Dane and Tim, you know, through the grapevine with like Doug and Santi and all these relations and conversations going on in the other tribe, that they would talk to each other. I didn't know that. I mean, that was obviously dumb of me to assume that looking back, but I think me at the time was just a little bit naive and thought that they were on the opposite end. So I wanted to see who was a better shot for the Jam Alliance. But
fully. At the end of the episode, you are pitching to Amanda. And you reveal to her, hey, did you know that Tim's actually very close to Santi? And she reveals, I actually didn't know that. When you're thinking about Amanda, did you feel like she was actually close to flipping to your side? Do you feel like that was a good meeting? And what do you think you could have done to solidify that alliance more?
So Angie, Morgan, and I went to Amanda super late. And like from Amanda's perspective, she doesn't know the three of us, and she's coming in. She's kind of she knows she's like if she joined us, she'd be on the bottom there. We didn't expect much out of her. Like I didn't even leave that meeting feeling good at all. I was like it's gonna be Morgan. Like they're not gonna vote with us. Honestly, I think maybe like going to her sooner or like revealing that information sooner. But also with Amanda, I felt like she did consider it much more than I thought she did. Like this episode, you could tell she was a bit torn. But I think maybe trying to form a relationship with her sooner. But with her, it was also about timing, right? It wasn't necessarily the best. It wasn't necessarily the best time for her to flip on her established Pascala. Like she even mentioned it in her confessional in the episode. Like now might not be the best time to go back on Tim. I still need him until merge, whatever. So
I think, looking back, there's also, you knew what Liam's advantage was. You knew he had it. Mm-hmm. And this would be a situation where you take it, you have control. Did that ever cross your mind, or was the thought, it's his advantage, I shouldn't take it from him?
So it actually never crossed my mind, which is interesting. I never felt like I was in danger until I got voted out. Like it was definitely a true blindside. That would have been that's a great point, Anders. I think going back now, it would never hurt to ask. We were so close. I mean, it wouldn't have hurt to ask him at all for it, even for Morgan. Like if I thought it was going to be Morgan, No, I don't know what would have happened had I asked. But he plays pretty hard too. So he might have been like, oh, you're overreacting. Like it'll be fine. But I don't know. That's a good point, Anders. I didn't think about it.
I mean, it's always hard because you aren't on the same tribe. You aren't voting at the same time. And you didn't know truly where it would land. Like that really is a last-ditch effort. If you knew for a fact the other four were solid, it's like, I might as well do this. But you were really throwing everything. So it was like, if I do that, no one can say you didn't try this episode. Erin, Shelley, do you have any questions for Jasmine about this episode or her game thus far?
Oh my goodness. Wow. I really should have thought of something, but I didn't. I'm just devastated that you're here, like I said. I wish it wasn't you. I don't know. Do you feel like you got swap fucked? Like, do you think it was the tribe that was just the worst combination for you, or do you think it like you got voted out because of the way that you played?
I want to say I got voted out more because of the way I played. Like, I like to take ownership of my game and not kind of like be like, oh, I feel like it's kind of a like victim mindset to be like, I got tried, like swap fucked. Whereas I felt like if I had just played a little bit more, like more differently, like maybe kept the whole jam thing a little bit under wraps more, I think I learned a lot from the way I handled that. That we could have had a lot of power on that tribe. I mean, that's 3 guaranteed votes. So I don't want to say I got tribe fucked. I think it was just a huge learning opportunity for me.
I mean, Tim said in his voting confessional, you gotta let the game come to you. You can't push so hard. Which, I mean, yes and no, but I think in this scenario, what we definitely saw was like similar to Ivy. Not to say that you played the same game as her, but like you definitely pushed very hard when maybe you should have waited. But obviously, like you had a lot of power, and it would be dumb not to try and use something to get your way. Because as you and Liam talked about, Santi is a big threat to get out. Yes. And it's been bubbling since the very beginning. You guys are not on the same side. You're in the same alliance, but you do not have the same allies.
I think that not knowing the connections, too, that so many other people had, that they can just turn around. I mean, is this the first time I'm hearing that Tim and Santi had that kind of a relationship? I don't remember seeing that before.
Not to edit check here, but I did say in the first episode, Santi does say, I do know Tim and Doug on the other side. We were all on the same floor last year. Okay. It's just never been established because they haven't been on the same tribe. So, which is a fair. I just want to point out, this didn't come out of nowhere. If you were like me and knew every second of the episode, you would remember these small, minute things. No. You thought it was weird Chris got voted out. They said for 5 seconds, Dane said I should vote Chris. It was right there.
It was right there. How did I miss it, Anders? I mean, 5 episodes ago.
I know there's been 8 hours of content, but if you looked at the first, Tim, that's their name.
But I mean, between like the Santi, Tim, Doug connection, like they're all talking to one another. And I mean, this is one of the things that I think was very much contributed to your downfall, because you can't have a conversation with someone without it getting back to someone else.
I will say I had absolutely no idea the extent of the Santi, Tim, Doug connection until it all played out like later, or until I found out later, after the season was over and I learned more things. At this point, I had zero clue. So yeah, that might have also played into it.
We have an important question from the chat. What is Chikasha's obsession with Santi's eyes, by the way?
How do you not have one? That's my question. Yeah.
Morgan says he has nice eyes. Look, I think we can all agree he has nice eyes.
Yeah. Can I ask one more question to Jasmine?
Of course.
So yeah, there's all this talk of relationships that you that you didn't know about. But as far as like relationships that you like, because you knew about Liam and Amanda's relationship, right? Mm-hmm. So did you try to like leverage that at all to get her on your side, or was it more so presenting it as like, Santi is a threat, or like we can get Dane out now,
So I don't think I talked to Amanda about it, but I do remember Liam and I had a conversation about like just Liam being like, oh, I can get Amanda on your side. I'm in good with Amanda. I'm going to convince Amanda. And I was like, okay. And I don't think I had a conversation with Amanda. And also looking back now, Amanda was went back and forth a lot about working with Liam. She was like, this is kind of sick. But Liam, I think Liam thought they were closer than they actually were, for sure.
Really? Yeah. Her face when he even suggested that she have a conversation with the girls was like,
yep.
To be fair, in her defense, here's someone who she's not even sure she wants to work with, saying, work with the 3 girls who I'm close with all 3 of them. It's like, that doesn't sound like an alliance I'm going to benefit from. Like,
stop putting logic in there, Anders.
Look, I know how Erin feels about it, and I assume you feel very similarly. Someone's got to defend Amanda here.
I have more to say on like that whole move later, like this doesn't have to.
Oh, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will.
I have a lot to say, Anders.
But Jasmine, I do also want to ask this question. If you could go back and change anything about your game, I mean, we kind of alluded to it, but I do want to know, what is it?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't talk to so many people this round. I think if I just shut my mouth and just talk to like maybe Tim and I should not have talked to Dane, just kind of solidified or started to build a relationship with Tim and continue to be kind of like, oh, we can pick off Morgan this, or like we can pick off someone this week and Morgan next week, and kind of play more coy with my jam relationship in this new tribe. I probably wouldn't have been blindsided, because me talking to Dane was really the catalyst of then Dane talking to Doug, and then Doug, Tim, and Santi all getting like, whoa, Jasmine is sketchy right now. So I think just not talking to Dane, not talking to other people.
You pulled an Eric. You gave Dane information, and he just said, "You know what? You gave me information. I'm going to betray you now."
Literally.
Thank you.
Literally.
I heard a great comment from wonderful superfan Jack Connors, who went, "Why do you guys tell Doug everything?" And that's really the story of Pascala, isn't it? Why do you guys tell Doug everything you hear? They say, "I've got information, Doug." It's very funny. But Jasmine, I do want to thank you so much for coming on. I know that it's never fun to watch yourself get blindsided, but it is fun to watch people love you. And I want you to know Jam is loved and you will be sorely missed. But maybe we'll see you again in the future. Who knows?
Who knows? Thanks, Anne.
Bye,
oh, what a great comment I made last recap. There's a lot of layers to Dane. All of them are bad. No, I love Dane. All right. Thank you so much, Jasmine. Have a wonderful night. And it's only 6 o'clock for us on the West Coast.
Woo, woo. Yep. I just press leave studio. Leave studio.
Bye, Jasmine.
Bye. Angie says love you.
Okay. Bye.
What a wonderful queen. It's so sad that she is gone, but we do have 13 people we can still talk about. Yes. I want to hear your initial thoughts about this episode. This was a tribe swap. This is a heavy episode. We lose a favorite. Erin, Shelley, what are we thinking?
There was just so much that happened in this episode. Like it all flip-flopped all over the place. Like I don't know that everybody on the tribe's name was out there at some point or another, but I think like almost.
I tallied that. I think everybody was mentioned except Angie.
Queen Angie. She said, not my name.
But yeah, I think that there was a lot that went into that. We're seeing like the beginnings of the new Chikasha relationships as well, kind of how that's going to go. Yeah, on that note of like everyone does just tell Doug everything, I think it's because Doug did make every decision on Pascala, and so now people are like, I don't know what to do without Doug telling me what to do. So, Doug, will you tell me what to do? I think that's literally what's happening. So those are kind of my initial thoughts. Like, there's a lot to go into as we go through this, and obviously I have a lot of thoughts about everything that went down.
That's unlike you.
No, you're right. I don't usually have opinions, but this time, I think it was a great move for some people and not a great move for other people. And we can get into that later, but that's how moves tend to go.
My biggest reaction was I must commend Anders for his editing because he had me convinced that Amanda might actually vote for a guy.
Look, okay, she's not always voting women. It's just it happens that that's the move she makes.
It happened. It happened. She literally came in and she said, apparently I don't like working with girls. I was like, apparently? In episode 1 saying you don't like your behavior, then change it.
I had the same reaction. I was like, you said it.
Exactly. Anders, your audio is gone, babe. I cannot hear you. Nope.
No, Erin.
Oh, is it just me now? Can I take over?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, thank God. I'm like, if I can't talk, what's the point? No, what I was gonna say is, I think I asked her in confessional, like, why do you not like working with women? And she was like, I don't know if I feel that way. Apparently, I hate working with women. And it's like, I don't know if I came up with this thought. I don't know if I'm like creating a production thing, like, oh, Amanda hates women. It's like, I'm not the one voting. But no, I think I think from her yes. I think she actually was more on the fence than maybe you might think. I don't think it was as clean cut as there are 3 women.
Her conversation with Tim about Santi should have thrown up so many red flags for her. I cannot believe that she didn't right then be like, girls, we got to get Santi out, because that brings Tim closer back to her again.
And now she cut off her only cross-tribe relationship, which is Liam. Like, now Liam's on a revenge tour against everyone that just voted out Jasmine. So it was bad overall.
Yes.
I'm sorry. If I'm in a conversation with you and I go, I'm worried about your relationship to this person, and you go, I don't know why that should matter. It's like,
yeah.
Excuse me?
Exactly.
And then it's just incredible job by Tim. Tim really said, I'm not actually going to make you feel more confident. I'm just going to say, actually, that's not something you should be worried about. Just ignore it. Forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't say that Tim is playing a good game, because he's not. He's actually playing a terrible game.
It's working for him.
Is he though? Everything's going his way, and he's right behind the top couple targets. Oh my god. Me too. But he's like, I feel like Tim is playing a good game. Like, I think he's in a power position. Like, all of his allies are like working their way up. He's in good with everybody who is in the power position, who's going to get taken out before he does. Mm-hmm. And he's like maintaining those kind of like the bottom of the alliance people. Like, now he's Amanda's closest connection. Like, she's admitted to liking Tim now. So that's a positive.
The arc. That is
So I think Tim is doing a good job.
No, I think Tim is the one who definitely got the most out of this vote, and Amanda was the one who really bungled the situation.
Exactly.
Yes. No.
Santi has no right to still be here.
I mean, here's the thing, though, is like, I think Tim is in a good position, but not necessarily because of things that he's doing on purpose. That's
yeah.
I mean, I don't think this was his move. Like, I don't think truly Tim did anything to make this happen beyond exist on his side and be the connector between Santi and Doug. And
this was
Amanda.
Santi's move, yeah.
This was totally Santi's move, which was actually funny because right at the beginning of the episode, he's talking about that they got out Eric before, and he's like, why would they get out one of their own? And then what does Santi do?
They had a chance to, I mean, he's looking for weakness. So instead of getting rid of the 2 weakest, Amanda and Morgan, he goes for Jasmine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And got rid of this close relationship with Angie that maybe he thought that getting rid of Jasmine would bring Angie closer to him, but I feel like Angie's just going to be mad.
Santi texted me right after, I misread my relationship with Angie. Angie says it herself. Santi isn't really recognizing her needs or her relationships. He fully says, oh, I got this 5, you're a part of it. But who in that 5 is she close to? Not Doug or Sadie, not Tim or Mike, or Liam's the closest, and he's not in that 5. So it's it's fully Santi, I'm not going to be beholden to you only.
Right. That it definitely hit his relationship with Angie hard. This is going to affect
That's the difference between him and Doug. Everyone says, as long as I'm with Doug, I'm good.
Right.
Yeah.
So we did lose Eric last episode, and it's very sad because we get to hear Doug monologue about how happy he is. We also hear
a villain. Does he still think he's the hero at this point?
Of course. He's slain one villain.
He's such a villain. He's a great villain.
Yes.
But he is such a villain.
And he didn't even need to be there to do it.
No. He didn't. Because it's like I said, they can't make any of their own decisions. They're like, hey, Doug, here's everything I know. What do I do?
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, puppets, go do this.
So let's talk a little bit about the challenge. Talk about, okay, it's a major change, which I know you both love. The theming's coming back. I said it's major conflict. It's about majors.
I hate you.
I appreciate that. So we have the challenge, and we see some good performance and some bad performance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Amanda and Morgan were terrible.
They were. Okay, but at least Morgan sort of had a strategy. Like once she was on the ground, she realized, oh, you can't really move me if I'm on the ground, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay here. At least she thought about something, right?
I think she just fell and
I
then
know.
was like, well, now I'm here.
Yes, exactly. She realized that now that I'm on the ground, this works.
Yeah.
I think she has asthma and she just got very winded immediately and just fell to the ground. Like not to diss Morgan, this is not a strategy by her by any means. It went way longer than what was shown. It went like 10 minutes.
Okay. Part of that, though, I was wondering, because when is out actually out in this challenge, Anders? I mean, I was like, I feel like people like stepped out of the ring and yet they're still going.
It was both feet being out, and it was like it's like your body being out. So like if you fell on the ground and your feet were on the outside of it, but your body was still in the ring, that's not out. It's like you have to be out of the circle, like your center of mass. Because otherwise it's like then it becomes very difficult to like do the challenge and judge it. And we had judges. I want to make that clear. There were people who were specifically there to mark if someone was out. So anytime you have a question, don't blame me, blame the judges. All right, we are a college game. Not everything's perfect, and we got to see them fight. So that's all that really.
I'm honestly shocked nobody got hurt. Like,
well, did they?
Maybe.
I mean,
Look, someone got hurt, not enough to get pulled from the game. All right.
Did anyone wear cleats to this challenge?
Oh
no, they didn't. No cleat storyline part 2.
Wow, devastating.
I know. Where was Liam with that this time? Could have helped against Santi.
It really could have.
You guys might not know. Santi was a football player.
I didn't know that. Well, that makes sense.
Why does that make sense?
Because he literally pushed them out in like one hit.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. He was like going for the face too. Santi was like, I'm just saying.
He was using that lanky.
Oh, good, Liam. Good.
And he lost again.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, well, someone asked, why do they even use the pads? They're not even that big. The reason is so they're not using their hands. They have to use something that's much softer to push each other.
People started completely disregarding those pads.
Yeah, especially Conti. He just put it on his arm and was like,
yeah.
I wanted to get like the full body ones, but obviously that's a lot of money for this challenge. No, that'll work.
I mean, it was quite the physical challenge. And
oh no. Amanda and cleats or Amanda voting for women? Who's the better duo? All right, so let's talk a little bit about new Chikasha, which is Mike, Liam, Doug, Sadie, Delaram, Abby, and Josh. So we heard a lot from Mike this episode, a lot from Mike. What are we thinking about that tribe? Who do we think is in a good position? Who's in a bad position? We have roommates on the tribe.
Yeah. So I think the initial thought was Josh as an easy vote for that tribe is what a lot of them were thinking. I know that because I don't think Liam has.
The answer is no. The answer is no.
No, but I think it's because it's Santi that had that closer relationship with Josh, right? Mm-hmm. So he doesn't really have any protection on this other tribe. He doesn't really have anybody that he can latch onto. Especially with Mike kind of building this relationship with Doug that he has. And now with Delaram too. I noticed that Mike had a conversation with Delaram where she was like, yeah, my whole alliance is over here. It's like, why did you say that?
Oh, no.
She just told him everything.
She also had to be explained what the issue with Josh having an idol would be.
Yeah.
She might be missing a certain element of the game.
That's actually fair.
It's because people like Mike, Erin. That's why.
I was going to say, I don't think it's his charisma that got him the answer.
He says, everybody likes me.
Yeah, I guess he does, doesn't he? Him in that, flamingo shirt and the mustache? Is that what's going on with him?
Do you not like it? It's a
look. Is
look.
he going through a midlife crisis in college? Is that
no,
what's
he's
was
just
Megan
fratty.
P.I. making a rebound? I don't know.
What did you say?
Was Megan P.I. coming back? No, you guys wouldn't know. Never mind.
Yes, I'll answer. I'll play along with that bit. No, he's just like that's what the fratty style is. You know, like a really patterned shirt, weird mustaches,
That's
short.
true. No, you're
Like,
right.
It's a look. I like. Look, you guys really like. What was it? The polar bear tie. Like people like certain
The
outfits.
duck tie.
The duck tie.
That's a
Whatever.
Mother reference.
Apparently-
That's why we like it.
Oh my god! But the flamingo shirt is not good.
Well, I mean, you also have to look at who's wearing it, Anders.
I think Mike wears it well. I think that we're being too hard on his fashion choices.
Speaking of fashion choices, Jasmine in that vest earlier, she looked very good. I like
Look,
it.
the women know how to dress.
Clearly, Mike needs a wardrobe that shows off that he works out, because in case you didn't know, he works out.
He worked out.
That's
He's
true.
very excited for physical talents. He works out.
I heard if only Eric was there, Eric would have taken him down.
Eric probably would have, is the
He
thing.
beat him and steal the bacon.
And this was all about mass, like having just more weight to you.
Exactly.
I will also say, oh no, I'm blanking on this, but it was, oh yeah. I don't know if you noticed, at the end of every challenge, we have a Mike confessional. It's been in every episode.
Oh my god, why?
Why? Because Mike is funny, and he really likes to talk about the challenges.
He sure does.
He does.
But obviously we see Mike and Liam are sort of like a core group. Like they clearly trust each other, and they're figuring out what to do. This is a pretty interesting try because like it's a lot more complex than it might seem. Like it's not just 4 Chikasha, 3 Piscala, because like the relationships are much tighter. It's like Mike, Liam, Sadie, Doug, Dalaram, and Abby are roommates, and then Josh is just sort of there.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I have a question. This really confused me during the first couple of episodes, and then again here. Why are people that are not going to tribal council talking about who they should get out? Like, if you're going to talk about it to your closest ally, that's one thing. Mike and Liam, you're having that conversation about Josh, fine. But you're going to bring it to somebody that you don't know? And then you're not even going to tribal yet. Why are you throwing out names when you're not going? I don't get it. I just don't.
I think
If I'm being like from a player's perspective, it's because there's nothing else to do. Like you're not just gonna like you got to toss names out. You got to strategize. Like building relationships. Part of that is throwing out a name that's not exactly. All time is game time. Yeah, like you're always thinking about the game. You're always thinking about what your next move is. And like part of building a new relationship is saying, "Hey, I don't want you out. I want this other person out." So you have to build new relationships.
The worst thing you can do, and at least from my perspective, when you're creating a new relationship, is make it vague what you want to do.
Exactly.
Because if I don't know who you're going for me. Like you say it. I understand. Like it seems like a lot of work to be doing when you're safe because like this could get blown up. But it's also like that's the thing. No one is on this tribe close to Josh. So saying his name, who's going to tell him?
Mm-hmm.
And like, but I think it is also like the alternate is like you talk to people and get to know them, and not to be shitty, but like no one wants to just sit down and talk to people and get to know them. Like you want to do that with a mixture of strategy. Otherwise, it's like a speed dating.
Clearly, because when Liam talked about when he and Mike and Josh and Santi all met, and then you show that they're just playing video games and look like they don't want to even be there with one another. Like the looks on their faces was like, am I really here?
That's what people look like when they're watching video games too.
Maybe that's it. I mean, I get involved into video games. I think, but whatever.
Look,
like
Mike, Santi, if you want to invite Shelley so she can beat you in FIFA, she'll do it.
Well, I wouldn't say I'd beat them, but
she will. Josh is here. Hashtag loner.
Yeah.
Poor Josh.
Maybe find an idol and that can be your friend.
Yeah.
He has 5 clues now. Use them.
You know what I hope happens? I hope Josh is just like Santi's my new favorite. No, what I hope happens is Josh is just like strolling along like and just sees the idol. Like he just happens upon it. I feel like he's not even gonna be looking for it, but he's gonna be like, oh hey, look at that cool thing.
And then he'll bring it to Doug.
He probably would.
Oh no.
Oh,
But obviously, like it's been set up that like Josh might be the next boot. Do we feel like this is? Do we think there's a lot of opportunity for Josh, or do we think like this is the best move for everyone? Like even Doug says in this episode, why are they all asking to talk to me? Aren't I in the minority?
Mm-hmm. I think what it would do, it'll show what sort of pull Santi has. If he's on the other tribe and knows Josh is in trouble and somehow is able to get to Doug and save Josh. I mean, because Doug even says in that confessional he'd like to blindside Liam. That'd be a perfect way to do it, is to be saving Josh and get Liam.
Yeah. That's a great read.
It's just hard because you have to have a majority of votes, and Delaram has Abby on this tribe, and Abby is close to Mike and Liam. So it's like...
Is Abby close to Liam, though? She's just close.
Okay, you're right. Abby is close to Mike.
Well, they're all in Quidditch, right?
They're all in Quidditch.
Yeah, that's true.
And, okay, also, I want to know, what positions do they play?
Okay, well,
but
I actually do want to say this. It will be referenced next episode. I don't want to spoil too much. It is a trivia challenge, but Mike is a beater.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
And then Abby is... Okay, what are the 3 position names again?
There's Chooser, Seeker, Beater, and Keeper.
Yeah, she's a chaser. I'm pretty sure.
Erin thinks Liam is a keeper.
Stop. What is wrong with you?
Oh, God. Oh, that's so funny.
I invited my mom here.
God. Yeah, no, that's why I don't want to bring my mom on. She will.
You do want to bring your mom on,
though. But yeah, they. Yeah, Mike is a beater. I don't. The great George Dane here.
George here.
Aaron and Liam. So, you know, Aaron, I think it's good Jasmine isn't here because you saw them hug this episode. I don't know. I don't know if you want to be chasing that right now.
I wouldn't want to listen. I would never be a homewrecker. I don't want to get in the middle of anything.
Well, too late. Amanda's already done it. But sorry, destroyed that home. She said, "Sorry, Liam, I'm breaking it."
That's so true.
So, yeah, I think this is obviously complex because everyone is connected to someone else, and
except Josh.
Except for Josh, beyond like what he believes, like Chakasha. So I think it is a challenge if you want to make a move, because they might say something and then it could absolutely fall back on them. Like they are safe right now. Doug, Sadie, and Delaram, despite being in the minority on this tribe, could get through this vote. Like if you split, easy, no worries.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to target definitely Doug or Sadie. Like both of them are super likable. I'm gonna scream.
Continue, Aaron.
Doug and Sadie are both like super likable. But I know in the Mike and Liam conversation, they were like, "We want to bring Sadie in," and they want to. Okay. Anyway.
Oh my God! Yes, that was true.
Anyway, let's continue talking about the episode. Yeah, so Doug and Sadie are definitely not going to be targeted because they are liked, and I think especially like that Jasmine-Sadie connection was going to help Liam be close with Sadie as well. That's gone now, unfortunately, but maybe Liam will, like Sadie and Liam will be like, hey, let's both get revenge for Jasmine, you know, like they'll team up in that effort. And then, yeah, this like Delaram and Abby being roommates situation complicates things because it's like, obviously they're going to know everything the other knows, and then Abby's going to tell Mike everything. Delaram's going to tell Doug everything, just like everyone does. And, like, it's just the spread of information. Like, I feel like there's not going to be anything that happens on that tribe that not everybody knows about. It's going to be very difficult to get a blindside done on that tribe.
Okay, but do Abby and Dalaram actually talk about things? Because when Dalaram was sort of saying it, then she was like, just kidding.
Well, that really leads back to, do they talk about the game, period?
Exactly. Like, I'm sure they talk about the information that they have. It's just not that much.
Because, Dalaram did say that, like, there was really nothing to talk about. There's nothing to do.
You know what? She's going to have a breakout episode. Don't worry. All right. They haven't gone to tribal. What do you want from her? Get off my back. You want me to just put Abby confessionals everywhere for her to be like, we won the challenge? Or, no, I am roommate. Me and
Nobody
Mike.
is blaming you for this.
No, I know. She does. To be fair, she does have more than knock me.
Yeah.
Get off my back doors. Couldn't even spell roommates right. Roommates. So, all right, let's talk about the more interesting tribe, New Piscala, where we have Jam, Santi, Tim, Amanda, and Dane. Obviously, a physically weaker tribe. What are our thoughts on this tribe just initially, before obviously the tribal happens?
Well, initially I was like, yes, good for Jam, but clearly not.
Yeah, I think they would have been in a better position if like Santi and Liam had been swapped around, like those two were switched. It would have been just like perfect, ride it out to the like they would have been totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was excited, I was kind of excited to have Jam together, but at the same time, like Jasmine had that confessional where she was like, I'm sad that I'm not with Liam or Sadie. So it was kind of like none of them had that strong relationship with Santi except for Angie. And then obviously, like the only name that Santi was pitching was Morgan, and Angie wasn't going to do that. So there was just like, I think it was so, I had a moment of hope where they were like, Amanda. And then she became the power position player by the end of it. And it was just, it made sense. Like, I get it because, you know, Santi, Tim, and like, Dane is the mystery to me. Dane's game makes no sense at all. I think Jasmine's conversation with him was fantastic. I think she told him everything he would have needed to like. What is that? What is that?
No, I thought it was an awful conversation.
Why?
I thought she came in and she's like, they don't care about you. They don't like you at all. You're gonna be next, but we do like you. But it's the way she pitched it. It was so condescending too.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
You dumb baby. All your friends hate you, but we don't. It's like he doesn't know you, and you're coming to him saying everything you know is wrong, and I'm right. Like, I think the issue too is it's also the way they talk to Amanda. Like, I'm willing to do this for you. It's so blatantly like, I want this, but I want you to also help me do it. Like, what was really in it for Dane? Like, he likes Angie, but he doesn't trust Morgan. He doesn't know you. And he's going to turn against Tim and Amanda. One of them he doesn't like, but it's like, I just feel it was so heavy-handed is the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think the presentation could have been better. I like fully disagree.
Well, not enough, apparently.
Santi's really trying to win me over.
Santi, I don't know, Chief. You voted Queen and Jasmine. I don't know if I believe you.
What was I saying? Oh, yeah, I fully disagree that, like, Jasmine talking with everyone was a bad move. Like, it's a swap. You haven't met these people. Like, you have to meet with them. Like, maybe she was kind of, like, pulling an Ivy, as Santi said, and, like, going too hard and trying to push for things too much. I don't disagree with that. But, like, she... George, thank you so much. God damn it. I'm so distracted.
I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you.
Okay.
You're talking about how you're a swap, you should be talking to people.
Yeah, it's a swap. You should be talking to as many people. You should be getting to know and like building these new relationships. I agree that she kind of went about it in the wrong way. And like it was making people realize like she does have a bunch of these connections. And that is what kind of put her, but the things that she was saying to like Dane and Amanda, they weren't incorrect. Like they were both on the bottom. So, and like how after all of that, like, and especially Amanda's conversation with Tim, like how she did like learned all of this information and like she should trust Liam. Like I don't understand why if somebody trusts you and is giving you information, like I understand being skeptical, but like you gotta have a little bit of faith. You can't get through this game without trusting somebody. Like you just can't. And so it's like,
yeah, but so many people have decided that's Doug.
Right. And if you take out Santi, that's taking out, but I guess like, no, you're
then
right.
why would
that
Doug
would have been a move against Doug, so.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, Amanda's in a swing position, but I don't know if it's a good way either way. Like, yeah, obviously she votes with the girls. We get rid of Dane. Like, she's queen, finally Amanda, feminism queen, like all of that. But the issue with it is like Amanda is definitely still on the bottom.
Yeah,
She
so
makes
I
this
think
move.
right. So here's where I stand. Sorry to interrupt you, Anders, but like I think it would have been a good move if she would have flipped to Jam and then said, like, if she would have taken that power and said, "Listen, I will vote with you guys, but it has to be for Santi."
Mm-hmm.
Like, if that's what she would have done, that would have been her best move.
Yes, I was wondering if they had, pitched more for it to be Santi, if she would have been won over, especially because of that conversation with Tim. I mean, you keep pushing Dane, like, so?
Yeah.
Dane does want Amanda out for some reason. It's because, okay.
I get it.
Because he thinks she voted for him when it was Chris in the very beginning. Which it's like, dude, that was years ago. Like that was back when Natalie was in the game. I think we can move past it.
Yeah, you never really get over when somebody writes your name down, though. I know.
Oh, trust me, I know.
Yeah.
But the question is too, like, who was this move good for? Like, obviously Amanda made the move, and it's quite like obviously it's good for Santi. Santi would have been, if it was Dane, Santi's dead. Santi's dead in that water.
Exactly.
Was this a good move for Tim? Like, because Tim could have. Here's the thing about Tim: it's like he's with Santi and Doug, sure, but it's like, how much is Tim controlling it? Would Tim going to the other side to jam with Amanda be better for him? Was it his move to keep her around?
I think that Tim is exactly where he needs to be with Doug and Santi in front of him. They're going to go before he does.
Yeah. Yeah, could not agree more. I think, Tim, like, would only have made enemies by flipping. And, like, especially if you flip with somebody, like, you're going to this already solidified alliance. Like, everybody knows that these three are in an alliance. You're going to them. You're going to flip with them to turn on your own alliance, people that you trust. And, like, I guess voting out Dane wouldn't really burn any bridges necessarily. But, like, everybody on Pascala was like, the six of us are like super close. It's like, are you? Like, are you really? No, you're not.
To Doug, they are. To him, like he's secure with those. Also, I just need to. Well, sorry, Santi said this, and then Jacob says, "If you want to win her heart, you'll need to take Liam out of the picture." Santi's going to go back 4 years and say, we got to get rid of Liam. They're going to be like, why? He's like, it's important.
I'm traveling. Santi, I love you. You're just, you're against Liam. Like, that's...
But you have great eyes. What was Angie's line? It was like, he's a smooth talking.
That was so good.
It was like, oh God, it's in my mind, but I can't even bring it up. It's like,
I wish I would have written it down. That was a great line.
Oh, hey guys, welcome to the Bachelorette podcast starring Erin. So Erin, we have a lot of single guys on this season. They're all competing for your heart. Who would you give the roses to this week?
How many roses do I have?
How many guys are there left? There are 6 guys left, so you have 5 roses.
Are there really only 6 guys left?
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's Santi, Doug, Tim, Mike, Liam, Josh, Dane. I meant 7 is what I said.
So I have 6 roses?
You have 6 roses.
Okay, well, obviously Liam gets a rose. Santi, you get the next rose.
He's a sneaky, smooth-talking, pretty-eyed boy.
Santi, where do you have that tattooed?
Oh, wow. 6 too many is what Morgan says about the roses.
The rose is not going to Mike. That's what I'll say.
Wow. She said, no. Naz is going to be disappointed.
It was a good try.
Josh, you did get a rose. Congrats. You're going next week where you're going to Aruba.
You get a rose.
You're going to go parasailing with Arcade Fire. Anyways, so don't worry. All your faves are safe, including Mike.
Thank God.
Let's talk a little bit about Dane's game because it is a little bit confusing. He starts this round and says to Angie, I want Amanda out. he caves immediately. Normally in a tribe swap, you're like, I want to feel this out. Maybe I want to turn on the people I know. He goes, Amanda should go. She's been here far too long. It's like, works for me.
I don't disagree.
From his perspective, though, he's in the minority from, his original tribe. So if he can right away put a target on somebody who's not him.
He's here.
You're welcome, dude.
No, it's smart. It's definitely smart to put a target on someone if you consider yourself weak.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it was a fine. I don't think him throwing out Amanda was the bad move that he made that week. I think it was everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had a. I get not believing Jasmine in that conversation, but then going directly to who was it that he spilled everything to?
Doug. It's Doug.
Everything to Doug, and then tells everything.
Yeah, and Dane also has this trust with Santi for some reason. He was like, I don't think Santi will vote for me because I think he wants to keep the tribe strong, which clearly voting out Jasmine does that. I just don't understand where Dane is getting this information from, unless it's Doug, which then it makes sense because he's playing directly into Doug's agenda. So if he does trust Doug this much, that makes his game make a lot more sense, is if he's playing it for Doug to win. But if he's playing it for Dane to win, then it makes no sense. And he should be keeping things closer to the chest than he is, I think, because he doesn't really have any solid allies. Nobody's looking out for Dane other than maybe Delaram. But what good? I'm sorry, Delaram, but what good are you?
I think he thinks that he's closer to Doug than he is. That's the thing.
So does everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody thinks that they are. So that's a credit to Doug's game, right? He can make everybody feel like you're my number one. I mean, you can only have one number one, and it's Doug for Doug.
Yes, it is.
I mean, everyone. You saw this episode. I mean, Doug says me and Sadie are in the middle of all of these alliances, and we want to keep the six strong. Him and Amanda are close. Him and Tim are close. Therefore, Tim and Amanda should stay together for Doug. Him and Sadie are close. Him and Delaram are close. That's a 3. Him and Dane are close. And that it's it really is. Everyone is feeling comfortable with Doug, which again, that's incredible that Doug has taken this 6-person tribe and made them all feel loyal to him.
It's not even that. He's bringing new people into the fold now. Obviously, he has Santi close to him, and now he's got Mike. I think it was even just through that conversation they were having in the food chain challenge. They were just kind of making a connection there. And so now he's got Mike's trust. And through that, he kind of has Liam's trust and Abby's trust. Doug is building such solid connections with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Doug is playing an incredible game, and if he wins, he fully deserves it. But I also cannot wait to watch it bite him in the ass.
Yeah, I feel like this is definitely a very dangerous game to play at this early. He is very, very seen out there right now. So he's got to be really careful not to be an early merge boot.
I mean, he has 6 people with him, but obviously, once the merge hits, you see it even in this episode. Dane and Amanda are not going to be close. And it's hard to say, will Tim go back to him and Sadie? Where's Delaram going to stand if her roommate is still there? How is Santi going to fit into it? So it's there's a lot of questions. Doug is by far definitely the strongest player at this moment, but unfortunately, that is not a position you can hold.
Yeah, no, he's not in a good long-term position, but I don't know who necessarily is. Everything is so messy. This is just every relationship, everything happening is so messy. And it's because it all runs through Doug.
And everybody else having outside connections. That's the thing, and that is another element of this season that is just crazy to me.
Well, there is one connection that isn't necessarily funneled through Doug. It's the Angie-Santi relationship, which, has been building up. They've been close. They've been just discussing things. And in this episode, we see a split where Angie and Santi are trying to figure out what to do, and they have just different agendas. Rewatching the scene where they're talking, I don't know if Angie plays it off well or not. I love it when Santi asks her, are you in a girls' alliance? and she goes, with who? It's like the girls from Chicago. She goes, so Morgan, Jasmine, and Abby? And he goes, yes. No, not Abby, because she doesn't talk to anyone. It's like, no, not really. It's like, so smart. Like, because she knows what he's asking about. And she's going, I'm not with Abby. I don't know what you're talking about. I guess I can't be true any of it.
Yeah. I think there was no good way to have that conversation. Like, I think both of them did what they could in it, but they both went in trying to strong arm their own agenda, and neither of them was going to come out happy. Neither of them was going to come out changing their minds. Mm-hmm. So I think it was just a courtesy, if nothing else, of saying like, hey, I respect you. I'm not going to vote with you. And it was like not in too few words, but that's essentially the gist of the conversation that they had.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely hard. They are trying to be a duo, but they just have different allegiances. I
think they both found out after this they're not a duo, right?
Not at all.
So
the Jasmine decision, even she was led to believe it was probably going to be Morgan. Do we think voting out Jasmine is the better move? Yeah. Or the smart obviously she is more of a threat strategically, but do we think it was the smart move for now?
Well, I guess it depends on who you're asking about. Like, was it a smart move for Santi? Yeah. Was it a smart move for anybody else? I mean, she's somebody that would have gone before you at merge.
Yeah, I think it depends on what your goal was. If they thought that this was going to be their only shot at Jasmine, then sure. I think it was a great move to get her out. But if you didn't want to upset too many people outside of like the people in your tribe, like getting Jasmine out, it's like we see it in the scenes for next episode. Like Liam is about to like cleat everyone. He's gonna come in his cleats and he's gonna like go on a rampage. And so that's what they ignited. Like they wouldn't have done that with Morgan. The only people that would have been really upset would be, Angie and Jasmine.
Mm-hmm. And Mike. You don't hear there is okay. Again, I added this. So
no, you're right. You're right. They said that Mike and Morgan have a thing.
That they were.
We've seen them talk before.
Well, it was because each one of the guys had a girl, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was the Mike and Morgan thing.
Yeah, but somebody said that like, Mike and Morgan are a thing. Like,
Amanda said
telling Tim that, and but somebody told Amanda that, and I can't remember.
I think Liam or Jasmine insinuated such a thing that like that's why working with the girls would lead to Mike because they have a relationship there.
Gotcha.
People are asking in the comments why there's so many overlapping relationships and like pregame things, and it's like we have over 35,000 people on the campus. It's just like, look, certain people are attracted to this game, and they have friends or roommates they also want to play with, and they happen to be interesting people. Like I'm not going to cast someone because you know someone. If you're an interesting person, you play. And as we've discussed, it's not as if these relationships are hidden. Like sure, Santi and Tim, yes, but not Santi and Doug. Not Mike, Liam, and Abby. Not Jasmine and Liam. It's like they say it. They blatantly tell you who they're supposed to.
Yeah. That's why everything is so messy this season because everyone's so honest.
Yeah. When Dalaran was telling Mike, man, my whole alliance is here. It's like, great. Don't say that.
It's everyone just feels the need to like spill all of the information they have for some reason. I think it's to everyone's benefit to keep certain things close to the chest. Like, not everybody needs to know everything, but I feel like that is the direction that it's going. Like, that's why this vote flipped so many times, right? It's because, Jasmine and Dane had a conversation, then Dane told everything to Doug, and Doug told everything to Santi and Tim, and then Tim said everything to Amanda, and then it got, it all just cycled around until everybody knew everything. And then Angie comes in at the end, and she's like, I'm kind of out of the loop. Like, I don't really know. Which I thought was kind of funny, but it was just, just so messy.
One thing that is being held pretty close to the chest, and I didn't even think about it, Anders, until you asked Jasmine earlier about Liam's advantage. I totally forgot that he even had an advantage until you asked about it. So is nobody else talking about this either? I mean, because it's not been shown, but behind the scenes, is anybody even remembering that Liam has this?
Well, it's the thing about it. It's like Eric's advantage was so present and important because he had no power. So having something that could flip the game was terrifying. Liam has been in the majority of Chickasha. Using an advantage is almost redundant. So, and also it's like for Chickasha, no one was threatened of Liam and worried about how he might use it. In a tribe's opposition, especially with people from the other tribe, that may come into play again. But you have like, if I'm Mike or Santi or Jasmine in his majority alliance, I'm not thinking about it as his advantage. We have half the vote on our original tribe anyways. So, yeah, and Liam also said in the very beginning, like, I'm going to play this down. I don't want to ignore it, but I'm not going to be like all about it. And I think that's smart. I think that's how you play it.
See, something's being held to the chest, Erin. That's all I was, trying to point out. There is something.
Okay. That's okay. One thing.
And Jam, that was hidden until Jasmine told Sadie, who told Doug, who told Santi.
Right.
No, I know. I was so upset about that. Like, I think that was the one. Like, that was the one thing. The oversharing, whatever. Like Jasmine pulling an Ivy. Like, that was the one piece of information.
Drag her, Erin. You don't know anything.
Jane, by the way.
Information travels fast, especially in a game with so many overlapping connections.
Exactly.
I think this definitely makes it an interesting movement towards merge. I think a lot of people are now focusing on merge because it's now time to start thinking, okay, we have opportunities to change it up. Who's going to be at merge? So like we hear in the beginning, or we hear during the strategizing, Santi proposing this power 5. Angie's probably not in that anymore. What do we think is going to happen towards the merge, especially with this now taking out of a Chickasha, taking out of a powerful Chickasha?
Mom, any thoughts?
Well, I guess I was thinking, okay, who is, in a good position now? Obviously, Doug and Santi are in a great position, and Tim. I mean, he's in a great position with them, and unfortunately, Amanda too. Now, I mean, like Doug has all his little loyal foot soldiers. I can't see him wanting to dispense of any at this point just yet, and certainly not until much later after the merge. He needs them. He needs their votes to make sure he's not an early merge of boot. So,
but then I guess it gets to the point of like, is there enough of a force to go against that Doug coalition, or at least some like one of those foot soldiers who's kind of at the back of the pack, who might like desert and go to the other side? I'm trying to like follow this analogy, but
yeah, I mean, I feel like there's potential for Dane to jump ship. Like if he is actually finally starts to really see that, dude, you are not where you think you are. I mean, I think he is definitely someone who could get onto the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Dane is definitely, you're talking about like who's in the weakest position in Doug's foot shoulders. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, like Dane is the only one not in a larger group. Dalaram has Doug and Sadie. Amanda has Tim and Doug. It's like Sadie has Tim and Doug and Dalaram and Doug. It's like Dane is the only one not really in a trio like that. So it is definitely a question of like, what is Dane's best move after this? Because obviously this week it was a good move to vote for Jasmine because it was him otherwise.
Yeah.
But moving forward, what is Dane's best move to survive? The answer, bring Eric back.
Yes, honestly. Yeah. Maybe just make some real allies.
I mean,
that's Dane's best move.
It's not impossible. He can make a real ally still, Maybe he'll have to wait until after merge. Maybe he just needs to get himself there, and then we'll see. But
yeah, at this point, he's got to like let's say that tribe loses again. Like, it's going to be easy for them to just vote off either Angie or Morgan, which would be continually devastating.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if Dane did try to like go to the sorry.
This is like last episode where Josh is like, Daniel, and it's like, no, Dane. Josh. Joe calls him Daniel.
Yeah.
Dalaram. She's so in the game, she doesn't know the name.
She did try to like go with Morgan and Angie to like. I don't see him wising up though. Like, that's the problem. Like, there are some absolutes in this game. Josh is never going to find an idol. Dane is never going to know his position in the game. These are just things that we know.
Mike is just going to keep getting better.
Yeah, I just wish they were different, but they're not.
Yeah, if Dane's first move is always to go talk to Doug, then he's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, like my thing is like, does Doug ever give Dane any information? Like, what is the?
Not the dragging of Erin. You know what? We're not. I want to make a little side note about Survivor Michigan season 3. I will say, Erin. This might be the most insulting thing you've heard. For most of the game, you are kind of a Dane. Like, I don't know who you're really that close to. It very much feels like, what is Erin doing? And why does everyone hate her? I don't get it, but they all do, and no one's worried. It's always like, we can get rid of Erin this week or next week, whatever. And it's like, God, Erin really can't catch a break at this point.
Yeah. So Dane just needs a Brady. Dane just needs some.
Dane, here's what you need to do. No spoilers for Survivor Michigan, but just have everyone bully you until it turns back around on them, and now people want to work with you out of pity.
It also helps when twists fall in your
yeah. When the twist is like, Erin's safe and only she can survive this. The twist is, if you cry in a bush, you'll be safe. We love it. Yeah, is Dane Erin? Who knows?
Who knows?
But they have similar games. Vote out the people closest to you, like Nick, your closest ally. Anyways,
yes.
Oh yeah, Naz made a really good point in the comments here. Classic Naz, where she's talking about how Doug and Santi are kind of like mirror images of each other on their tribes, but Santi is definitely more of a target than Doug is, and I think that's maybe speaks more to the people on Chikasha than Pascala.
I think it's their approaches. Santi is much more of he was much more of a dictator, I feel. Like, he kind of made the decisions, and whereas, and I think, maybe it does have something to do with the other people on their tribe, and, wanting to be more powerful in their own right, whereas Doug is more of a godfather, and everybody is, giving him gifts and kissing his ring. Interesting.
Can't wait for the Dane-Liam romance to happen. So, yes, Doug is a godfather. Yeah,
so it's like Santi is or at least from the viewpoints of their tribes, or from an outside perspective, Santi is a dictator and Doug is the godfather. Because, there is an incentive to overthrow the dictator and give the people some more power. Whereas, if you go after the godfather, you are going to have a horde of trouble, coming after you.
I mean, not to try to, again, push the theme of the season, but I know Anders will love this.
Yes.
But, the STEM folks are used to being in a lab setting or whatever and having, here's your top dog that you listen to, right? And you just go and hear your instructions, go do your thing. And the humanities group are always going to question things.
And not to also piggyback off the theme and push this more, but it is very much like a business mindset of always trying to be ambitious and achieve a higher thing, where you're never happy if you're not in power. And I think it definitely has more of that, where it's like Liam and Mike are definitely not people who will listen if they're not very much involved in it. Whereas engineering majors aren't so much trying to get to the highest hierarchy. They're trying to collab and work together on a plan. Mm-hmm. But I would also say they have very different approaches. For instance, Doug is a manipulator. You see it every time he has a conversation. He's so good, except with Santi, at holding information. And even with Dane this episode, he's like, no, Santi, you can trust him. Tim would never do that to you. That's insane. I'm going to laugh when you say this thing that's real. And Santi, you saw it with Josh and with Angie. He tells them all the information. But you're right, in a way of a dictator. It's it's not that he's really listening to them. It's just he is honest with what he's saying, but he does have an agenda, and it's much more transparent.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. It's
when before Josh was immune, Liam was pushing let's go for Josh, and Santi made it clear he didn't want that. Doug would never say no. Doug would be like, yes, let's go for Josh. And then he would do something about it.
Yeah, if he didn't want Josh gone, yeah, he would have made it happen so that, yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, do I know this? Do I know these characters? No, but I do agree with you a lot in the, like, one is more of a dictator, one is more of the godfather.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's like, yeah, literally they come to Doug with information. They're like giving him gifts. They're kissing his ring, and Doug is like gives him a little pat on the head, and it's like, I will give you protection. Like, that's exactly what it is.
Naz is also saying Santi comes off as a smooth talker, whereas Doug, I think it's because, no offense to Doug, Santi is just a really pretty boy, and like, I think it's more of a, you look at his eyes, you look how he talks, and you go, Santi's trying to manipulate me. Santi is using his masculine wiles, and he's getting to me. Whereas, you know, Doug's a cutie, but it's like, it's not the same. Doug doesn't have the same piercing eyes.
Yeah, but then you like listen to him in his confessionals, and he really is just a villain. Like, he just goes on these long villain monologues, and he's like, well, yeah, but like, I'm in control. Like, but it's funny. It's funny that I'm in control.
He loves to laugh. I will say that.
No, Doug is a cutie. Like, he's adorable.
Liam. Turns out she's into Doug. Yeah, Doug is a much more like. Doug loves to laugh about how much he wants to destroy Eric and anyone who goes against him.
Yeah. And he makes it happen too. So.
And he makes it happen. That's the thing. Everyone Doug wants out.
There.
Yeah. Santi though has not taken out really anyone who's like fully against him. Jasmine this episode, but until now it's like Ivy was never against him. Evan
Chakasha was united, Anders. There wasn't anybody against.
Don't even start with me. Don't even start with me here.
She was a united family.
This tribal, such a better one, because it was like very clear they were not here to bullshit.
Yes.
Because they all felt uncomfortable.
Agreed. I did like this tribal, yeah, because they did. I don't think anybody there necessarily felt safe. Right. I think Jasmine was definitely blindsided. Like, she didn't think it was going to be her, but I don't think she thought that the numbers were on her side or anything like that.
Tormenta is a Michigan season 3 tribe. I will tell you, yeah. Here's the thing about Doug versus a Survivor Michigan villain. Doug is like, Eric wanted to talk to me. I'm like, I don't want to talk to you, you silly. Like, I'm gonna get you out. Like, goodbye. Meanwhile, on Michigan, it's like, Eric texted me. He's a villain. I will murder his family. What? This is like, chill out. My God. They're like, you're a garbage human being. You suck. I never want to see you again. Go away forever. It's like, yeah. I'm sorry. What is this show? Yeah. Why are you so angry?
Erin just brings that out in people.
I have played a game with Erin before, and I've been mad at her, but I've never felt that angry at her. So, like, okay, Doug is not a Will and Ben, because you know why? Doug is likable, and he's not pity party all the time. He is aware he's a villain. He's aware he has power. And
he's not aware he's aware of that.
He's not aware of the villain. He's aware he has power, and he's aware why he should be targeted. Ben and Will, I don't want to get too much into it. They're victims, and it's irritating.
Yes.
All right? You're playing a game. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, Doug, fantastic villain.
Truly definitely, one of a kind.
Yes, definitely a villain, but like in the funniest and most adorable way possible. Like, I just want him to have everything. Like, I just want him to have everything bite him in the ass. But I think it's going to be a while until it does.
He's definitely in an incredible position right now. So looking forward in this game, who do we think is in the most trouble if they go to tribals next? If either tribe goes to tribal, and who do we think will go to tribal?
Well, I mean, hopefully, just to keep things balanced out, it'll be
Chakasha.
Yes, thank you. New Chakasha. And on that side, I mean, whatever Doug wants to happen is what's going to happen. And
he's in the minority, but it'll be him.
Doug wants Liam out, so.
Don't say that. Let's not. Okay. Anyway, so how I see it personally, I also think that New Chakasha is going to go to tribal. I think Liam might throw because he feels safe and he wants to protect Angie and Morgan. So I think that there is a potential for Liam to try to throw that challenge because he is on his revenge tour now, which, very exciting thing there. And I think that he...
Erin is salivating for the day that he appears on this podcast.
That is not true. I'm not.
He can be like, where are you living now? Are you going to be moving to Michigan anytime soon? Or what's the deal?
Stop. Anyway, I think there is a potential for Liam to throw the challenge. But I think if New Pascala were to go to tribal again, I unfortunately think it would be Morgan. Just because now they would be, it's kind of like an easy vote between the two of them. They would go for the weaker member, which is like perception-wise Morgan. And also Santi might try to like keep this relationship with Angie somehow. Like he thinks that he might think that there's a potential for that to be salvaged. As far as if New Chakasha goes, I think that Josh will get voted out because I don't think that Doug necessarily has the pull to make it Liam. I don't think that he can exactly make that happen.
Look, it's we love to talk about it.
Yeah, but I think that it would be Josh that goes. I think that there might be a couple Doug might put a couple safety votes on Liam, but like I said, there are absolutes in this game, and that's that Dane doesn't know what's going on, and that Josh will never find an idol no matter how many clues he has. So he's gonna go home regardless.
But what if he did find the idol and Liam was able to use his advantage? Maybe we could see Doug go.
Bold prediction. Let's lock it in.
Look, there are still 2 idols hidden in this game that no one's found. Color me surprised at that we're now in the 7th round of this game and no one's found an idol.
Are they even looking, Anders, honestly?
Definitely less. I think once you get to 3 or 4 clues and you don't find it, you assume it's gone, which to me is lazy talk. If you don't know who has the idol, you should be looking for that idol constantly until you're like, they keep asking the same person every tribal what they think about the idols. Maybe Ethan does have it. But maybe that's just me reading into what hosts will ask. So obviously this is a good point to end out, unless we have any other hot takes we would like to get out about this episode, how we're feeling, why Amanda is actually a great player and she doesn't deserve the hate. Because she doesn't. I'll stand by it. Amanda is, I think she's playing, and I think that she is aware of her move. Yes, it's against a woman, but I don't think it was a bad move by any means. I just wish it was.
I disagree.
I don't think she had a good move to make, honestly, because she's going to be at the bottom of either side. And you may as well stick with who you know.
Or you make that move against, like I said, I don't think voting out Dane was her move, but I think taking control and saying, let's take out Santi, that would have been a good move. Like, I don't think that this, and I guess if the options are taking out Dane or Jasmine, then she did make the right move. Sure. But I think that there was a better option there. And this isn't just me trying to, say that Amanda only makes bad decisions. I gave her credit last episode. I will credit good moves. But it's just I feel like she's closed herself off to a lot of possibilities, and she's only continuing to close doors as opposed to opening more for herself.
I will say, if she got rid of Santi, she loses Tim. I think she loses Tim. She'll lose Doug. She'll lose Sadie. She'll lose all of Pascala. I think that puts her in a position where she needs to trust Chikasha. And if we thought her being I shouldn't go with Eric, I'm not on the bottom of my alliance before, talk about, if you hate Mike, you think she's going to like Mike? I mean,
Yes, I do. He's the manliest man there.
Yeah, but she didn't like I just think that you're right. Getting rid of Santi is a powerful move. It's just not a good move at this point because Amanda doesn't have. She will lose every other ally she has.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I guess she didn't have.
Trust me, a big move is always appreciated. This was a big move, and I hated it.
Yes.
I take no solace in the fact that Jasmine is out of this show.
There's no reason for her to rock the boat at this point.
You just devastated this move devastated half of the podcast guests' winner picks.
This was so sad. Someone on Twitter was like, I'm so furious that Eric is gone. Like, I'm so mad at this show. It's like, there will be other favorites. It's like, you're right. I guess I'm rooting for Jasmine now. And I went, oh, well, I guess I'll see you next week and find out who you're rooting for. Winner pick asked, Erin sticking with Sadie.
Obviously, I think she's only getting better. Like, she's in a better position this week now. Everybody likes her. Everybody wants to work with her. She's like, if being on this, Jacob, being on this tribe with Doug is going to bring that relationship closer. Like, she might take over even the Tim position, if thing like being on the same tribe as him. So I think she's only going up in the world. Full faith in Sadie. Also, like, we're knee brace buddies.
Shelley, what about you? Winner picks. What are your thoughts?
Well, I have a new winner pick after this episode. And
wait, who was it before?
Before, it was Jasmine. So
oh, it's not saying Jasmine?
So
no Redemption Island?
Nope. So now I'm going to go with Tim. I think that he really does that. Like, he is in the best middle position right now. I don't think he has a lot of people that don't like him. I mean, he's a funny guy, right? And he's clearly an expert at tribal. He's been there all the time. So he knows what's up. He knows how to handle tribal council. I thought that he gave some insight at that confessional too about letting the game come to you. And if that's how he's going to be playing, and he's got his shields in front of him, I see him going pretty far. I think that he could be a winner.
Shelley, you said Tim's favorite words. I think he's funny. His title is comedian for a reason. He loves to be adored for laughing. If only he was funny. Anyways, I appreciate you both being on. I don't know if you guys have anything that you would like to recommend to the people. Erin, I don't know. Is there anything that you've been on that people should watch? Maybe.
Just anything I've been on.
Right. Shelley, is there anything that you would like to advertise?
I mean, just check out College Survivor. Other Maryland seasons are pretty good. All their Michigan seasons are pretty good. Just watch them. They're good.
Good night, Liam.
Erin, you're blushing. I would, if you want to see more of Erin, maybe a guest spot from Shelley. I wish you were in the show. Survivor Michigan Season 3. It's a great show. You will hate so many of these people. They are truly awful.
I might be one of them.
You might hate Erin. Honestly, if you hate Erin the most, I will question a lot of your decisions. Like, sure, Erin's not the best player for most of it, but like, the rest are truly like bad people. They're just like, they're not bad at the game, just mean.
You can also follow me on Instagram at @e_Sikri, or you can follow me on Twitter at @eSikri.
Shelley, where can they follow you on Twitter?
I mean, I guess you can. You can find me through. I'm following Maryland. You can find me.
Queen Shelley, following me on Twitter with a feed of Just Survivor Michigan tells me all I need to know.
Exactly. I don't really post anything that people want to read other than that. I retweet stuff, so don't worry about it.
It's a very mom Twitter thing to do, and I love that. If my mom used social media, which thank God she doesn't, that's probably what she would do. And I don't want that. My dad followed me on Instagram recently, and apparently it showed up to other people. They're like, why is your dad on a recommended I should follow? And I'm like, don't follow him. Why would you do that?
What is your dad's Instagram? I want to follow him.
No, I don't. He's not going to post anything. I'm not going to tell you what my dad... Look, focus on Liam, not my father. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week for hopefully another great episode where your favorites do get voted out and the things that you don't want to happen do. You will see an episode where Amanda rips out Angie's spine and then dances with it. Anyways, that's our show. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful night.